BSP records 249 million kina net profit. Australian Defence Force personnel arrived to combat COVID-19. And body of missing teacher found. Good evening and welcome. This is Thursday's news. I'm Kilawani. PNG's retail sector of the overall economy has been impacted greatly, largely because of COVID-related restrictions put in place that has affected the informal sector. BSP Financial Group Limited CEO Robin Fleming made this statement whilst announcing the bank's third quarter results. The company recorded a net profit after tax of 249 million kina.
Amidst COVID-19 pandemic-induced impacts on the PNG economy and neighbouring Pacific countries, BSP Financial Group Limited is still able to declare profitability in its third quarter results, with significant growth in its offshore branches identified as being responsible for the overall uplift in the group net profit after tax compared to the previous quarter.
We have our half-yearly results reviewed by our auditors. The annual results quite clearly are audited as well, but the quarterly results are unaudited management accounts, and that shows the third quarter we had net profit after tax of 249 million kina, and year to date just under 700 million kina, 698 million kina. Cost to income ratio both for the quarter and year to date quite good, around about that 37-38%, which is a very low cost to income ratio for banks. Earnings per share, market capitalisation, as we said before, 5.7 billion kina, total assets of just under 30 billion kina, and a very healthy capital adequacy ratio of 23.4%.
CEO Fleming highlighted that PNG's retail sector has been hard hit by the pandemic, given that the country does not have support mechanisms that other countries have.
It's certainly being impacted by restrictions which do get introduced to legitimately reduce the transmission of COVID. And at times we do understate or underestimate the impact on the informal sector. The informal sector drives a lot of retail activity, and it is a difficult balancing act for government to be able to protect the lives of individuals, because at its heart COVID really is a health issue. So protecting the lives of individuals is really important, but at the same time we don't have the support mechanisms that other countries have from an economic perspective.
Whilst Mr. Fleming predicts a positive outlook for 2022, with Porgera Mine expected to reopen shortly and other major resource projects given the go-ahead, he also says the COVID-19 pandemic remains uncertain to cope with in the immediate future.
So we do expect to see some downturn during this third wave of COVID. It's one of the reasons why everyone should be strongly encouraged to get vaccinated. And just because we emerge from the third wave come December and January, shouldn't think that COVID's gone away. Next year does remain somewhat more positive. The sentiments are there. You've got government and Barrack agreeing that Porgera will be open, just a little bit of dispute as to when that may well be, or formalising exactly when it will be. But Porgera will be open, and that's going to stimulate foreign exchange, stimulate activity in the highlands.
Apart from the retail sector being affected greatly, CEO Fleming also pointed out the impact on PNG's property sector as a result of continued international travel restrictions.
Property sector, as we know, has felt the absence of international travellers in PNG, which is another reason why COVID does have to be brought under control. If we want larger numbers of tourists, larger number of people to occupy residences and hotels, you need to have a COVID which can be managed. And then we'd hope and expect that in the budget for next year there is going to be an investment in the hospitals, because that's one of the underlying contributing factors, making sure we have hospitals which can cope with an increasing population.
During the third quarter, BSP's investments included reopening its Kerema branch last month expanding its Arawa branch in the autonomous region of Bougainville, and is currently working to open new banking centers in Lae and Mount Hagen. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
Whilst COVID-19 vaccination has been considered as a way out of the pandemic in reducing restrictions and enabling workplace safety, there are still challenges for employers. BSP Financial Group Limited CEO Robin Fleming explained how the bank is dealing with the challenge with its employees, saying they do not have a no jab, no job policy, but strongly encourage vaccination. This comes after 3 staff were reported to have died of COVID-19.
I do get somewhat bemused by the fact that the amount of public debate that goes on in respect to the efficacy of vaccine, whereas if you've got a heart problem, you've got a diabetes problem, no one really asks when was this medicine released, what's the clinical tests, what's the long-term side effects. They accept it. For some reason, the COVID vaccinations attracted a lot more attention. Everyone becomes medical experts. We don't have a no jab, no job policy, but equally we do strongly encourage our staff to be vaccinated. There's certain activities which only vaccinated staff are able to undertake. If you're travelling domestically for business purposes, you do need to be vaccinated to protect yourself and also to ensure that when you go to some of the other provinces, you're not taking COVID with you, nor are you going to bring it back into the workplace. There's certain of our partners and certain businesses who are now requiring staff to be vaccinated or people to be vaccinated before they can enter. Lands Departments 1, NCD, other private sector businesses, which then means that any staff who have to interact with those particular businesses need to be vaccinated to undertake their daily duties. We certainly recognise that people have differing views, but it is strong encouragement to get vaccinated to protect yourself and your family. And no doubt over time, as the number of people who are vaccinated does increase, the demands pressures won't necessarily be coming from myself. The pressures will be coming from other people who are vaccinated within the workforce and how they deal with the staff who aren't vaccinated.
Port Moresby City market vendors protested outside the City Hall today. They called on city authorities to revert on their decision to impose no jab, no entry at city markets run by NCDC. The vendors are yet to get a response to their call. Market Vendors Association today fronted the NCDC headquarters or the City Hall with frustrations over the recent no jab, no entry policy announced by the city manager for all NCDC sanctioned facilities earlier this week. A rowdy crowd gathered outside the City Hall's entrance, adding to the already existing issues currently faced by the city authority following its stance on the vaccination. EMTV spoke with a number of protesters off camera. They said while they respect the measures taken and the new passing, they are only protesting for their freedom of choice. Police were later summoned to control the crowd. EMTV, in efforts to get a response from the authorities, asked Ravu Frank, Deputy City Manager, for comments. He said he couldn't comment at the time as he is not in any position to do so. Western Provincial Health Authority and its health workers are closely working together to control COVID-19 situation in the province. CEO Dr. Nico Wuotai says they have been working closely with church-run health facilities in the province, resulting in less cases reported. Dr. Wuotai has advised people in the province to adhere to the new passing protocols to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
At the moment, as I speak, we have teams here in Kiunga. We work very closely with our partners in giving out awareness. Some of our partners our Burnett Institute, World Vision, YWAM, ADI, AHP. So we work including the Catholic Church and ECPNG, which is making it easier for us to respond to this outbreak. We are, at the moment, the numbers of cases in the province has dropped dramatically, but the virus, the presence of the virus is still around. Last week we had some positive tests, 2 cases in Daru, as well as positive cases in Balimo, and also in Tabubil, Kiunga. So although the numbers have dropped dramatically, there are still cases. The virus is still present in Western Province, so we are still on the alert. Most of our hospitals are still scaled down their operations. They have not returned to normal yet. Their operations are still they're mainly focused on COVID, as well as they take in emergency cases.
14 Australian Defence Force personnel with an AUSTMART medical team arrived last night in efforts to assist in the country's response to COVID-19. The team will be sent out to major PNG-DF bases throughout the country. More help comes as the COVID-19 Delta variant surge continues to see the increase in death tolls around the country. The Australian Defence Force has deployed 14 ADF personnel who arrived 7 p.m. last night in Port Moresby with a medical team under the Australian government.
Force deployed 14 personnel here today to assist the Papua New Guinea Defence Force in, expanding their capability to conduct vaccine rollout across Papua New Guinea. They were also joined by a small team, an enhanced team from AUSTMART, of which Mark will address a little bit later. But with the Australian Defence Force team, they've got logisticians and they've also got some health personnel. The logisticians will assist with training and assisting the ordering and also the forecasting for stores and equipment, which is going to be vital in the Papua New Guinea health system. The health team will be here in particular to help train and advise the PNGDF health services in their delivery of vaccines across the country.
This is my 3rd trip in just over a year to Papua New Guinea, and clearly this time it's a lot worse. And I think you can see the commitment from Australia with our close colleagues. AUSTMART works very closely with the ADF to help the people of Papua New Guinea. I've been here on the ground for about 10 days, working very closely. Our team has been working very closely with Dr. Downey and Dr. No and others at the NCC, working with the staff, the leadership at Port Moresby General Hospital to help them with their crisis. And also we've been working closely with our logistics people, looking at logistics supplies, some of which you've seen come into the country tonight with the ADF.
Deputy Controller for the National Control Centre for COVID-19, Dr. Downey Ezrom, said the help is timely, especially when the country's health system cannot cater for this Delta variant crisis.
We have no choice but to vaccinate ourselves out of this pandemic. At the same time, our health system is actually placed in a worse situation than we thought would have been. Our health system is fragile. And if we continue to have surges as we're currently experiencing around the country, you look at the highlands, Momase, the New Guinea Islands, especially East Lubitton. Initially, we had West Sepik and Western Province and also Eastern Islands. The numbers in these provinces are going down, but we need to keep working hard. We know what's worked. We know the interventions. We know what's cost effective. The challenge for us is to achieve a critical mass of our interventions. At the moment, we couldn't do that because of the challenges in our health system. We just don't have enough doctors, not have enough nurses, and all those technical stuff that would actually require the health system to mount a good response. And hence, we've actually requested Australia and the other EMTs that have come on board, the UK that came in yesterday. It's going to be a very big help for us.
Dr. Mark Little, who has made several trips into the country this year, says giving such help is what neighbours do.
This is a tough time for Papua New Guinea. And from an AUSMAT point of view, we have brought critical care doctors and nurses into the country to work with our Papua New Guinea colleagues, both here in Port Moresby and also out in the provinces as well. This is what neighbours do, and I'm sorry this has happened to Papua New Guinea, but we, from an AUSMAT point of view and an Australian government point of view, we're here to help, and that's what neighbours do.
The United Kingdom Emergency Medical Team has been deployed to Western Highlands Province. They left for Mount Hagen this morning and will assist the Western Highlands Provincial Authority as the third wave of COVID-19 causes more strain on the health system. Pandemic Controller David Manning thanked the British government for the support during the pandemic. Manning added that Mount Hagen is in dire need of assistance, hence the UK medical team was assigned to help. The UK team will help in providing urgent and serious care of patients, control infections, and carry out strategies to stop the spread of the virus. They are expected to spend 6 weeks in Mount Hagen. You're watching National EMTV News. Among stories after the break, the body of the missing teacher found in Lake Bune. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. Morobe has been identified as a COVID high-risk zone. 11,000 tests have been conducted with 2,146 cases returning positive. Records show that 1,674 recovered from the virus, while 14 passed away from COVID-19. Leh District is currently leading with over 1,500 positive cases, followed by Bulolo with 94 and Nawaib with 80.
According to a report from Morobe COVID-19 Emergency Operations Center last week, the province is experiencing a lot of positive cases. There were 4 to 5 cases of death on arrival from Leh at the COVID-19 hospital located at St. Ignatius Kilage Indoor Stadium. The death on arrival cases is tested and the COVID-19 positive bodies are kept at the COVID-19 mortuary. Transportation is still a problem for the province when transporting staff to the COVID hospital at the stadium. There is also no transport to move oxygen cylinders from the area medical store to the COVID hospital and transporting empty cylinders to BOC and back to the hospital. 7 to 10 oxygen cylinders are used every day. The COVID-19 Provincial Emergency Committee is yet to give clarifications on how rural health facilities collect their oxygen bottles from the area medical store. With the vaccination program in the province, more than 5,000 were vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, more than 16,000 with AstraZeneca's first jab, and 7,000 with the second jab. 16 were vaccinated with Sinopharm's first jab. Meanwhile, the main problem faced by the Morobe Provincial Health Authority is the lack of manpower in the lab. Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
After 4 days of search, the body of trainee teacher Jovi Apele has been found by divers at Lake Bune in Southern Highlands Province. The trainee teacher was missing after going for a swim with other 5 trainee teachers of Kero Primary School in Imbongu. Lake Bune is a few miles away from Kero Primary School. Divers located his body at the middle of the lake, and because of the freezing temperatures of the lake, it stopped the body from decaying. He drowned while trying to swim back from the middle of the lake, and his body got stuck by debris. Late Apele is a final year student of Melanesia Nazarene Teachers College in Jiwaka Province. Locals in Kero 2 Council Ward say his death is the first incident experienced of someone drowning in the lake. His body was taken to Mount Hagen Funeral Home while awaiting police investigation and funeral arrangements. Late Apele is from Kagua Erave District. Members of the Juha Special Purpose Authority have called on Prime Minister James Marape to sideline Intergovernment Minister Pila Niningi. This follows a Gazette notice published yesterday by the Minister for the reappointment of Ben Heroa as chairman. Today, Juha Special Purpose Authority Chairman Peter Andama and people of Juha marched to Kitpen Building demanding answers. Chairman Andama says the move by Minister Niningi is a contempt of court. Andama says Mr. Herawa was being arrested and charged for abusing nearly 2 million kina, money belonging to the people and Juha Special Purpose Authority. Chairman Andama questioned whose interest Minister Niningi is serving.
Authority is established by the Act of Parliament, and NEC is only the authority which can suspend based on the report from the department. And NEC is only the authority which can suspend and then appoint the administrator, caretaker administrator, which will be the non-board member, because all the board members are implicated. So that's why they were, investigating. So these are the processes there. Process of its own, it's stipulated in our authority constitution. And while bypassing all these things, Minister went ahead and
to our surprise,
we haven't had any issues. So we noted that a lot of decisions, such decisions has been done, and the Minister and this department has been implicated by all authorities, like authority for that matter, SBA for PDL 7, SBA for Moran, and then all these issues are there.
It is a lawful obligation to account for every toya given by the government for the purposes of development in the districts. That's from Member for Imbongo and Minister for Intergovernment Relations, Pila Niningi. He presented acquittals for his electorate to the Department of Implementation and Rural Development today. Imbongo District Development Authority today submitted its acquittals of 3 years to the Department of Implementation and Rural Development. The acquittals cover 2017, 2018, 2019 and part of 2020.
We are presenting to you 3 years of spending, and it is important again that we all leaders are required by law to give an account of what I did and what we did, my team did for Imbongo. Papua New Guinea must know that this accountability process, we must give every toya account of where it is the money has gone.
According to the IDDA finance manager, about 24 million kina have been acquitted for.
So the rollover reports are also been presented. The acquittal for the rollover funds are also here. Okay. As I've said, 2018 we received our DSIB funds, not full amount, around 8 million. 8 million, so we worked on 8 million. 2018. And 2019 as well. So that's not also into full amount as well. Around 7 million or something. So we roll over some money into 2018 funds into 2019, and then 2019 we went into full swing infrastructure work. So that's why you see the 2019 reports are like in mistake 2019. So then into 2020, so when you put around, let's say 8 million for last three years, it's around 24 million.
From 2017 to present, under the leadership of Pila Niningi, the IDDA has initiated a number of projects, including the upgrade of the district's headquarters, the finance office, the police station, which took 4 months to build, and the courthouse, amongst others.
Quite a number of projects. In terms of roads alone, we built one section where we did roads. That's a loop road we built. That's Olge Konapugu Road. And in terms of, again, another road is to Kiopaga from Koangila up to Kia. And then Givenham to Peambel Road we built. It goes all the way to we did roads and communication, electricity, quite a number of projects we initiated, but some projects were not completed. Mbongo is up to date with the communications. These are the areas that we built towers, and now Mbongo is fully covered, so that you can get Wi-Fi or you get internet anytime you come, and landline is also traveling to Mbongo. So in terms of communications, we are there. But this is not included in the report.
Secretary for DIRD, Aihivaki, in receiving the acquittal, said development is a reflection of the type of political leaders in office.
The leadership, the development that is taking place in the provinces, in the districts, it only depends on the good political leadership and good administrative leadership. When we have these two working together very closely, you can see the real outcome and the impact of our services being delivered, and you can see the smile on our people's faces.
Deputy Secretary DIRD commended the IDDA.
I really like to commend Mbongo district. In fact, I think this is the first time the department has actually had a presentation from Mbongo district. To date, there hasn't been a presentation, and kudos, well done. We commend the efforts of the minister, his administrative team, and the hard-working team that have worked tirelessly not only in implementing the projects but putting together the reports, and also going to the effort in having the media here and having the presentation. It's high-quality stuff. You don't get much better than that, and I really commend the district for doing so.
The Angao redevelopment project is into its third year since construction began in 2018. Project Director Dave Laver said the project is expected to be completed by the end of next year. So far, 4 wards have been completed and handed over to the hospital's management.
4 new buildings have been handed over to the Morobe Provincial Health Authority this year under the redevelopment project. Project Director Dave Lovers said the project team has received good feedback from staff operating in these new facilities.
Examples, if you look at birthing, where the operations that have gone on in birthing, where the deliveries in birthing, we have seen improvements in that, and that is ongoing. The Children's Outpatient Department, I missed it before, COPD is another ward that was delivered. The paediatrics team operating that are having positive results, and they're improving their overall procedures.
The Angao redevelopment project was initiated through a deal between the PNG and Australian government in 2013. Construction phase commenced 4 years later, with the initial completion date of the project set for the end of this year. However, Mr. Lovers said the completion date has been delayed due to COVID-19 and has been pushed to the end of next year.
So you've been getting materials in, and that has been difficult. Sometimes there's been shortages of things like steel or timber, so the materials you need to build, and that has actually delayed the construction times. So you've also had, because of COVID situations, you had different businesses had to remove their staff for periods of time and have got staff back in. So it's the issues that everyone around the world has been facing, we've experienced here as well, and it's delayed the construction.
The transition of the old hospital to a new facility will be followed by trainings for staff on how to use the new and improved equipment, which will come with the new buildings. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News, Lae.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.3650 Australian dollars, $0.2775 US dollars, $0.3831 New Zealand dollars, and 31 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, cocoa closed higher, coffee lower, copper lower, cocoa higher, palm oil lower, crude oil lower, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. You're watching EMTV News. We'll be back with Trukai Sports after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Legendary PNG boxer Martin Benny passed away yesterday evening after suffering a heart attack. Benny made PNG sporting history, winning the Australian light welterweight title after defeating Australia's Colin Cassidy in 1974. The fight was held at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium.
PNG boxing icon Martin Benny passed away yesterday evening after suffering a heart attack. Benny was attending the light heavyweight bout hosted by the Oceania Fight Promotions at the Sejongais Indoor Complex. PNG Boxing Council Interim President Ben Micah made the announcement of the champion fighter's passing to the gathered officials, fighters and trainers present at the indoor complex.
That our champion, Martin Benny, is dead. The only Papua New Guinean who held and will always hold the combined Australia welterweight championship. The only Papua New Guinean to have made it to become #1 contender for the welterweight division in the Commonwealth. #2 contender for the light welterweight division in the Commonwealth, and #10 contender in the world in the welterweight division. And we young boys who were growing up in the 70s, he was our champion. He's still our champion and will always be our champion. I want to say to you, trainers and boxers who are here today, that I want to live many more years to achieve the dream, the vision and the prophecy of our champion. And the challenge now in Stapler Yupla, all amateur boxers, Stapler Yupla, all professional boxers. I am so happy and proud to see the way you have fought today, the amateurs and the professionals. I truly believe, and I will do everything, now that Martin is gone, within my power, within my means, to see the day that Martin will never see, when one of you holds one of these world title belts and complete the work that Martin Benny has left behind.
Benny, who hails from Waima village, located in the Kairuku district of the Central Province, was 70 years old at the time of his passing.
He suffered a massive heart attack, and they couldn't revive him outside here. I got in the ambulance with him and went to Pacific International Hospital, and they tried everything to revive him. But lo I blow me straight and passing my blow.
Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. The weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Southern region, Port Moresby and Popondetta, mostly fine although cloudy at times. Possible thunderstorms. Daru and Kerma, partly cloudy periods. Alotau, mostly fine, partly cloudy. Momase region, Ley, partly cloudy with few showers. Medang, Wewak and Vanimo, partly cloudy with brief showers. New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kavieng, partly cloudy. Kavieng, partly cloudy with chances of brief showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, mostly fine. And for the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabek, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The way it is this Thursday, 28th of October 2021. From all of us here at the EMTV News team, have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.